Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yes, we're live. Oh,
Yes, we are
yeah.
live. Good to be live again.
Good to be live. Good to be live. Yeah, we're talking about raising two world champions.
Yes.
Oh, so,
Imagine raising one
oh, yeah.
world champion,
Oh, just
and
one
then
kid.
sorry.
Just imagine raising one kid, right? Let alone
Yeah.
one world champion. And it's like,
Yeah, and then two of them, and even take it to another level. It's not like you were just good parent and it turned out that your kids are world champions. It's about planning it for them. that's
mm,
that's that's what really amazed me when it comes to the person of Richard Williams. So, small introduction for today. So, tonight, we are discussing Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, amazing tennis players. Uh, Probably both of them are in like the uh, Hall of Fame of tennis players of all time. Both of them broke many records. I believe that Serena holds the most number of Grand Slams, which is like the ranking for Grand Slams is probably the most important one in tennis world, and Serena holds the most titles in Grand Slams. So great achievement. And yeah, this episode is inspired. I was inspired
mm,
by watching the movie about uh, Richard Williams. So last week, it was on Thursday. I noticed that on HBO Go in my country there is King Richard, and I've heard about this movie from my brother, and of course it was nominated for the Oscars. I'm not sure whether it won any Oscar or not,
let me check.
but definitely it won a Golden Globe Award for the best movie. So so definitely good movie, worth watching. Not only for the picture itself because it's great, but also foremost for the person of Richard Williams. Um,
Mm,
I I prepared some notes, and I think that we should discuss four topics regarding
okay.
the philosophy of Richard Williams, of himself. So first thing, the let's say the main motive of his philosophy in this movie that emerges was he's saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Mm,
So he he really put a lot of emphasis on the fact of how important preparation is, and probably all successful entrepreneurs will tell you that preparation is super important. If you don't plan anything, you plan to fail.
mm,
That's true. I know it from my own experience. Like there was like very even recent experience, I would say. I planned my January really thoroughly, and January was good for me. But then I didn't plan February so much, and I failed in February. So now I planned March, and we will see how it goes. But
mm,
of course, this the process of planning and really being successful in planning is just the very first step to success, because like you can make all the plans in the world, you can make them detailed. That's important, to make them detailed, but if you don't act on those plans, then they are worth nothing. It's the same with business ideas. If you don't act on your business idea, it's worth nothing. So
Yeah.
if you don't act upon your plans that you have for your business, for whatever you do in your life, uh, then you will fail, and these plans are for nothing, really.
Exactly. And from I think planning is like, yeah, you can do very detailed planning. And I think the good thing about detailed planning is that it helps you to eliminate any potential thing that can go wrong, right? Because you can think about, oh, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, oh, I can avoid this, I can avoid that. Whereas if you just have a very, very rough idea of what you want, then the path of getting there is not very clear. Then you might get a bit of uncertainty here, you might get a bit of pushback there, and you weren't expecting it. Then, but at least if you plan them out, you can work out kind of the roadmap of how to get there, and then you can expect what might go wrong so that you are ready for the things that can go wrong because you have already foreseen it happening rather than having to deal with it on the spot. So I think that's where the benefit of planning really comes in, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's important to remember that you cannot really plan 100%. Never.
Completely. No.
Like the our life is so unpredictable,
Mm.
that planning 100% is impossible. So you have to plan for for a bit of elasticity in what you're doing.
Uncertainty. Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, let's refer to the situation right now. Probably there are some businesses that were heavily influenced by the current situation in Ukraine, and they didn't really plan for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for example, I don't know. I've heard that Nike just blocked selling their goods in Russia. So it's
Really?
impossible. Yeah, it's impossible to order anything on Nike in Russia on their website in their mobile app. So I believe that Russia is probably
Wow. Yeah.
among the top 10 markets for their products. Like it's a
Mm.
big country, right? So I guess like top 10 markets in the world, probably one of them is Russia. And let's be honest, Nike didn't plan to cancel selling their products in Russia. Like
Mm.
if you probably ask Phil Knight even a week ago, so a day before the all the things started, right? Phil Knight or some managers from Nike would say, no, we don't plan to cancel to shut down selling our products in Russia. But here we are, like
Mm.
one week later, yeah,
Mm.
they canceled it, they
It's
closed it.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Take some balls.
Yeah, so dropping the political topic now, and
Yeah.
going back to Richard Williams.
Indeed.
Um,
What's the second?
the second one is that he was very demanding. Like he was demanding to such point that there were some cases, some suspicious that he was too strict for to his daughters. That that there was this scene in the movie when the police turns up at their house, and they have some questions about how his daughters are treated by him and his wife. So probably it was definitely reported by one of the neighbors, which means that neighbors thought that he's too demanding in comparison with other parents. And actually there were few things that that really showed how demanding he was. So for example, they were playing in the rain, right? Who would normally play tennis in the rain? But he did it with them to add this extra level of difficulty for them. Another case was that they were watching some like kids movie like Cinderella or something like that, and when they finished watching, he started asking his daughters about like conclusions, learnings from the kids movie,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And none of them gives the answer that he's expecting. So he said, okay, so and he said, oh, so you clearly didn't understand the movie, so we're gonna watch it again now, right? That's crazy. That's bonkers, telling
mm,
your kids, your family, that we will watch this movie again right now because you clearly didn't understand the message of it, you know
mm.
well, definitely crazy. um what's your view on that, like
I agree, like, but how do you draw the line between, like, let's just take us for example, like you are a very demanding person of yourself, and I am too. Um, but how do you draw the line between being demanding of our own performance and being too strict that we uh accidentally compromise our mental health, for example?
you
Do
know
you
what,
think?
that's why we need other people in our life, so
Mm,
that's why, for example, when we do sports, we need sports coaches. That's why when we do business, we need business coaches, right? Or personal coaches, because like our nature doesn't allow us to be objective.
mm-hmm,
We will be either too demanding for ourselves, or we will be too easy for ourselves. So if you decide to write to plan, let's say, workout plans for yourself, one of the two things will happen: either you will make no progress because your workouts will be too light for you, or you will overtrain yourself
mm,
because your workouts will be too heavy for you. You are not able to objectively judge your level and your needs of physical activity. You
mm,
are not We are not able to objectively assess business needs of ourselves.
yeah, yeah. I think for me it's like, are you being demanding of yourself with intention, or are you just doing it because you're like, I just need to keep going, I just need to keep going? But if you don't have a direction, then it's like, that is just doing things. Just keeping busy doesn't mean it's productive, right? So but if you have a direction and an intention to go, okay, this is what I want to achieve, and I want to do this, I want to be demanding on myself for the next 7 days, for example, sleep, I don't know, a bit less because I want to do X, Y, and Z, then I think that is right. Only if you can see the end vision and end direction of where you actually want to go, then you can be demanding of yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be real hard work. Be real hard work.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing about Richard Williams' philosophy is him being protective. So that's really interesting to see that at the same time he was able to be very demanding, but
Mm,
also very protective.
that is interesting.
So there was this case when he withdrew Venus from playing like junior competitions because he have seen all the parents who were very demanding and very unpleasant to their kids, and he said that he doesn't like the atmosphere there, so that's why he will withdrew her and her sister Serena from those competitions. and then he wanted to wait until they were like 16, 17, or whenever. He
Mm.
said that once they will be ready, I will know, and then I will let them play in professional tournaments, professional competitions. But eventually he broke out and he allowed Venus to play a professional tournament at the age of 14. Um, but he was protective, and also he used to repeat that you are playing for fun. So even though he was very demanding with
Ah.
learnings, uh, with with trainings, for tennis, but then when it came to the,
Hmm.
let's say, final test, so any game, he used to tell her daughters that you are here for fun, just have fun.
Mm. Mm.
So he didn't want, so at the same time he pressured his daughters a bit, but also he didn't want them to be pressured by someone else. So he didn't want them to be pressured by professional coaches. He didn't want them to be pressured by media, society, other players, parents of other players, etc., etc.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. And initially, when you said that, I was just like, "Oh shit, well, I'm not a father, so how can I say about being protective of my son or daughter?" And then I realized, oh, actually, the being productive, not productive, protective bit is about protecting the reasons and the intention why you come here in the first place. It's like, okay, why did I bring my daughter here to play? It's like you say, it's to play, it's to have fun. It's not about doing the other sports yet. So he's almost like trying to protect the environment and the attitude of why we're here, and then make sure that the very reason why they're doing what they're doing was not being compromised by outside voice or external sort of pushes or pressure. And then he was just there to be strong enough to say, no, this is not what we're here for. And I think for me, it's like, this is what we can learn, which is like when people say, oh, you want to do this, blah, 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 blah. If it's not what you want, just say no. Like, there's nothing there's nothing wrong about that. It's about learning how to understand why you're here, what you really want. And then if things doesn't match that intention, then you just have to say, it's not for me right now, maybe in the future, but for now, no thank you. And then you just move on and enjoy what you're doing, and don't get carried away by what other people are saying. So um yeah, that was this is an interesting. I like how you just mentioned as well, to say he's both demanding but protective at the same time. It's like they're almost conflicting each other, but they're not quite now, because he's demanding in the same direction, but he's also protecting, so that they are almost like working that direction but in a protected way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's about finding a balance, like it's the same with, I would say, that's how I treat myself
Mm.
to some extent. So so I'm demanding of myself when it comes to, you need to make calls, you need to make sales, you need to
Yeah.
send emails, you need to send LinkedIn messages, but at the same time, I'm protective in a way that, okay, if I fail, if someone says no, I'm not interested. If I fail at the stage of selling this to someone, then I'm I have this, mentality of, okay, at least I have learned something today that will be helpful for me in the future. That there is no reason to push myself too much. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
have learned. I made a mistake. I know what mistakes I made, and now
Mm.
I can learn from it and make sure I will not make mistakes again.
Mm. Sounds good.
And the last thing about Richard Williams was his long shot, long term vision. So
Vision.
imagine, uh, like, so he was when he so he was telling Serena and Venus when they were like 11, 12, 13, 14, that they will be world champions. He was also telling this to some other people, you know.
Mm.
How often, of course, it wasn't about himself, it was more about his daughters, so probably it changes the gravitas a bit. But let's imagine that you just go out there and start telling people that you will be the biggest mogul of NFT.
Ah,
Do you have
yeah.
enough, like I'm not here to challenge you in that way, but let's talk about how deep his belief in his
Hmm.
process and abilities of his daughters was, that he was able to go out there and say, I will be like, they will be world champions, even though they were, let's say, no one
Mm,
at the moment, right?
mm, mm,
So me and you, we are no
mm.
ones at the moment, but let's go out there and say that we will be the greatest entrepreneurs of our generation.
Yeah. I don't have that level of conviction yet.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that's why I'm not Richard Williams. But it's interesting. It's interesting you say that because huh, I don't know really. Like I never say to myself like, oh, I will be the greatest. This maybe I'm dreaming too small. Maybe I'm not thinking big enough.
You know, maybe
You,
I don't know. Like I'm dreaming big. I'm quite bold when it comes to expressing uh my uh,
your dreams and goals.
goals. I don't like word. I don't like term dream. You know,
Okay,
because
your goals.
I
Yeah.
explained it once that when you use term dream, I for me it means that uh, there are some conditions that you cannot control and it might not happen. But if
Mm,
you are
okay.
talking about goals, it's that it's attainable because there are conditions that you can control, and
Mm,
uh, you are able to achieve it, right?
yeah. Fair
uh,
enough. Yeah.
I was quite bold, even sometimes I didn't like uh, express it directly about my goals. Sometimes I just hinted them in a way, and I remember that I not intentionally hinted them when we when we worked at the same company, and then one of the managers messaged me on Twitter, and it was like
Twitter.
I don't know.
Really?
uh, yeah, like we I followed him on Twitter, he followed me, and he messaged me. And one of the questions he asked me, it was like a year ago, he asked me like, are you a millionaire yet? You know? And I was like, what's the question? Like, why do you ask a question like that? And it was funny because like I never told him or anyone at the company that, oh yeah, I will be a millionaire one day.
Mm,
It's
mm,
maybe the vibe that I'm giving, that's my goal. And I don't know if his question was honest and in good faith, or maybe more like making fun of me, but still, I think it was an indication of the fact that I'm pretty open about my goals,
mm,
you know.
mm. Yeah. Interesting. If people know it, then there's this thing about social accountability, right? Like if you tell people enough people about your goals and your vision, then sometimes people just come to say, "Oh, how are you getting on with that thing?" And then you're like, "Oh yeah, shit, I haven't. I need to do stuff about that, right?" So, um, but yeah, I need to think about that, which is I have never think to myself like I will be the greatest X or I'll be the most amazing Y in the world. So something to think about, something to ponder about.
Okay, so at least one person from today's episode will have some food for
Food for
thoughts.
thoughts. I definitely will, and
Okay.
yeah, I'll see if I can share back next time what I think I will
Okay.
be.
So you see now, the newborn hustlers is not changing only the life of the viewers, but also the life of the
The podcaster.
broadcasters.
Yeah. That's good. We need to learn as well, right? We are constantly growing too.
Yeah. Okay, we are
Great
past
chat.
25 minutes, so it's time to finish for tonight. Thanks to everyone who's watching or listening it on Spotify. I will put it on Spotify later. If you like this episode, just comment it, like it, whatever you can do about it. Go follow us on Instagram. Go follow us on our personal profiles. Drop us a message on our personal profiles or our the Newborn Hustlers Instagram, and we will reply to it.
Hmm.
Whatever help or support you need in these strange times, we will be there for
Yeah.
you.
Amazing. 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 We'll leave it there. Cool.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.